Shalom Mubarakah, Mishpacha, peace and blessings, family. Now, I posted the dates of the holy days for this year, but I didn't offer any proof, so I'm going to prove it in this video, prove all the dates for the year. But first, let me start talking about the Sabbath. Now, in March 2024, the vernal equinox was on the 19th. Okay, we're looking at a lunar calendar here. Obviously, the vernal equinox has absolutely nothing to do with the moon. I'm just showing you this calendar because this is what I'm going to be using in the rest of the video. But yes, we did observe the vernal equinox, the sun rising perfectly from the east on March 19th. Okay, so with that being said, 7 days into the vernal equinox, counting the vernal equinox, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is Monday, which puts the Sabbath on Mondays for the year. However, in my last video that I uploaded, I broke down the original date of the very first Sabbath ever kept by the children of Yasharal, and I basically showed lots of evidence that indicates that the first Sabbath was actually kept on a Friday. I'm still wondering, should Friday be the Sabbath for all eternity if the first Sabbath was kept on a Friday? If you need evidence on that, feel free to watch that video where I mathematically broke down that Friday was the day of the week that the first Sabbath actually took place. So feel free to check that out. With that being said, I do wonder if we should just keep it on Friday every year, no matter what, because when you calculate the day of the Sabbath every year, you get an 8-day week at the end of the last week. For example, last year, right, the Sabbath was on Sunday, right? So this was a Sabbath. Then we have this other day, right? Then we had the vernal equinox, the first day of the week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we have a new Sabbath, but we have this other day that just is there. So it's basically just an 8-day week. And something about that just doesn't sit right with me. I'm thinking it should just be 7 days, 7 days, 7 days every week for all eternity. And if the first Sabbath, nobody has, debunked my mathematics that I've done. So if you want to check that video, I'll go ahead. If you think you can disprove the information I put out, please disprove it. But mathematically, doing astronomical calculations, I have determined, and I showed you all the math, that the original Sabbath day was kept on a Friday, which would put Friday the Sabbath for all eternity. So, hey, at this point, I'm kind of torn between two opinions. So I can't really tell you, oh, this is the Sabbath, this is the Sabbath. I'm not going to be like, the camps and be like, oh, yeah, what I got is 100% the truth. At the end of the day, man, I'm just doing research to find what is most likely the case. But in this situation, I really don't know. I'm still trying to come to a set conclusion. But right now, my mind is really just leaning towards Fridays because it makes sense for the Sabbath never to change at all. Again, I could be wrong, so don't sit up here and be like, Ayub said it, so it's true. You know what I'm saying? I'm still doing research on the Sabbath. However, the holy days, we can tell for a fact when the holy days are. So let's look into these holy days. So let's start with Passover. Passover, as we know, is a 14th day of the first month at even. So we first have to find out what is the first day of the first month. So in order to do that, we look at the first new moon after the vernal equinox. Vernal equinox on the 19th. No new moons in March. So now we have to go to April and we have to see the next new moon. And then in April, the first new moon is on the 9th, but it pops up at night. So we'll know it's the new moon on the 9th at nighttime, okay? But in the daytime is actually new moon day. Is the first day of the month. Because on this day, the moon wasn't out yet. The moon didn't pop up until night, okay? So the first day of the month is the 10th. So how do we know that the first new moon after the vernal equinox is the first month of the year? And how do we know the first month of the year doesn't start before the vernal equinox? Well, because you have to determine everything by a luminary. A lot of Israelites just go by whenever it starts getting warm, which is the beginning of March, and then they'll say, well, the next new moon after it begins to get warm, we're just gonna say that's the new year, and that's incorrect because that's not using the luminaries. All right, once you know that the equinox is whenever the sun is passing the equator, which is this line right here, on March 20th most years, when it passes that, boom, now we are starting to be in the summer time. Now it's the spring. Okay, so this is the springtime. The sun has to be north of the equator at that moment. If the sun is still south of the equator, aka if it's before March 19th or before March 20th, then it cannot be Abib yet. So we would have to first wait till the sun is over the equator and passing the equator, and then the moon becomes new again, and then that's the first month of the year. It's really common sense. If the sun is still south of the equator, you're technically in the wintertime. If you start the month in the wintertime, that's not the true Abib. You have to be looking at the signs of the heaven. Now, when we look at the book of Enoch, chapter 71 or 72 in some versions, it says that there are 6 gates of the heavens where the sun goes up, it rises from close to earth to far away from the earth. And then there are 6 gates where the sun goes from the highest point to the lowest point again. Now, the gates start in the winter solstice, which is on December 21st. The reason why I have everything here set to the 27th is because the website that I was calculating this on had everything set to the 27th, and I was kind of too lazy at the time to change it. I really should have everything set to the 20th. That would have been more easy, because if it was at the 20th, it would have been an equinox and the sun would have been exactly right here. This is the sun, by the way. This is the areas directly over the earth where the sun is with the correlating dates. So on March 27th, every year, the sun will be approximately right here above the equator. What we have to understand is the book of Enoch breaks it all down. It tells you that the 4th gate from the rising of the sun marks the new year. Okay? So, what's the first gate? The first gate is whenever the sun is closest to the earth, which is on a winter solstice. The sun is all the way down here, and it's also closest to the earth at the time. It is winter for us, and it's summer for them. On December 21st, which is the winter solstice, the sun is right on the Tropic of Capricorn, and at that time it's closer to the earth, and every gate afterwards, the sun is literally ascending from the earth. It's getting farther and farther away from the earth. So it says the 4th gate. The 4th gate is 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th gate, really, it should be directly on the equator, but that would be March 20th. And the 4th gate is the vernal equinox. So when you see in Enoch, it says the 4th gate, that's the vernal equinox, okay? And it says that's the new year. So after the vernal equinox, the first new moon will be the first month of the year. It tells you that in Enoch. It breaks it down. So that's how we know when the first month of the first year is, guys. You understand? So this is the first day of the first month. Okay? So let's count to 14, starting at the 10th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay? So the 23rd at even is when Passover starts. Now, Feast of Unleavened Bread would be on the 24th. It's 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the Feast of Unleavened Bread will be from the 24th to the 30th. Passover will be the 23rd at evening. Now let's calculate the next holy day that we need to observe, which is Feast of Trumpets, which is the first day of the 7th month. So we have to count into the 7 months. So if this day right here is the first day of the first month. We have to continue to find the next new moons for the next 7 months. So April 10th is the beginning of the first month. So this is 1 month. Beginning of the second month is May 10th. Beginning of the third month is in June 8th. Okay. Beginning of the fourth month is on July 7th. Beginning of the fifth month is on August 6th. Beginning of the sixth month is on September 5th. And the beginning of the seventh month is on October 4th. And October 4th will be the first day of the seventh month. That will mean October 4th will be Feast of Trumpets. Okay, that's the day when you have a feast or go on a picnic with your family, blow the ram's horn, the shofar, just to show that the harvest season is here and you're praising y'all for the harvest season. Okay, so the first day of the seventh month is October 4th. With that being said, we can now determine what day of Atonement is. Day of Atonement falls on the 10th day of the seventh month. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the 10th day of the seventh month. So October 13th is the 10th day of the seventh month. Now, what we have to understand, however, is that it actually starts on the 9th day at evening. So it starts on the 12th of October at evening, and it ends on the 13th of October at evening. Okay? So it's a full 24 hours. Day of Atonement, that's an extremely important day, guys. And on Day of Atonement, you are denying yourself. You are fasting. You're not drinking any water. You're not eating any food. On Day of Atonement, you are giving up your fleshly desire for holy desires, for righteousness. Okay, you are going within yourself and you are examining yourself, figuring out everything that's wrong with you and the proper steps that you can take to bettering yourself for the next years in the future, how you can improve yourself in righteousness, right? So that is the day only holy things should be thought of and should be done on that day. And you are to fast from all the things of the world, video games, scrolling through social media, etc. It is a day of worship. It is a day of repentance. It is a day of fasting. Y'all takes it very seriously. Do not defile it. Do not go to work on that day. You are to keep it holy. Now, also on the 15th day of the seventh month is the beginning of Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, the beginning of Feast of Tabernacles. If the 13th was the 10th, then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it starts on the 18th of October. And it's 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And on the 8th day is a holy convocation, a Sabbath of rest. No work should be done on this day. It's a holy convocation. Feast of Tabernacles is a week where our ancestors, they went to Jerusalem. They got in tents. They stayed in tents for 7 days. They partied. They drank. They celebrated. You know what I'm saying? And it was a fun experience. It was a time to basically rejoice before Yahuwah. But on the 8th day is not a day of rejoicing. It's not a day of celebrating. It's a day of rest. You understand? However, when it comes to Passover and Feast of Tabernacles, they are not mandatory to keep in captivity because Yah specifically tells us that we are supposed to do these celebrations in the place where he sets his name. Yah's not going to look at you and want to punish you because you did not keep Passover or Feast of Tabernacles in the land of captivity. He told you that you are specifically supposed to keep it in the city that he sets his name, which is the city of Jerusalem. All the people had to migrate to Jerusalem every year to keep Passover and to keep Feast of Tabernacles, right? So if you're not migrating to Jerusalem, which nobody is, that land is desolate, completely desolate, then, there's no point of you actually thinking that you're going to get punished for not doing it. I understand you want to have time with your family. You probably want to just, do a recreation of it. You you just want to basically get in the feel of how it is to be an Israelite. I understand that amazing feeling. You probably just want to meet other people who have similar morals of you. Be in unity with other people. Gather with other Israelites. I understand that, but don't think that you're going to get punished if you don't keep Feast of Tabernacles or if you don't keep Passover. Those days are just not for captivity. However, Day of Atonement specifically is supposed to be kept all the time, no matter if you're in captivity or not. If you know what Day of Atonement is and you know how to keep it, then you're supposed to keep it, period. Yah tells us that it's an everlasting covenant. It's perpetual. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in Thailand. You are supposed to be keeping Day of Atonement.